Nothing Worthwhile, the recognized symbol of excellence in crappy podcasting.
Guess who is at WrestleMania Live in Tampa Bay, Florida? Plus Godzilla vs. Kong movie review. It is the Festival of Friendship, better known as Nothing Worthwhile, America's #1 bi-coastal podcast featuring two annoying Jews live and in person in Tampa, Florida. This is different. Very different. I'm actually sitting in...
Yeah, we're looking at it. We're in the same studio.
I see you, looking at you, looking at me, looking at you, looking at me.
Yeah. And our voices are actually now at like the same decibel level.
Yeah, this is going to take a little bit of getting used to. Usually,
well, this is how we started. I mean, we started doing these face to face. We would do like 3 a year. We would only do them when we were together, like when when I came to Arizona that time for the Royal Rumble, we did a couple that
New
weekend.
York, Thanksgiving.
We started but this is a nice return to our our comfort zone.
I guess the demand was so high for our podcast that we decided to go remote.
Yes, we decided to spend a little money. And yeah, so to all our fans out there, we wish you were all here with us. So far, it's been an adventure so far, and we just got here. So
well, typically we always say that I'm in the West Coast, Phoenix, Arizona. Andy's in the East Coast, Coral Springs, Florida. But we're here live in Tampa, and I always start off when we're live at the host city of WrestleMania. I know it's only been a couple hours. We had a little bit of an adventure getting to Tampa Bay that you could speak of. But initial thoughts, it's kind of a weird year. Is COVID still in the picture? But your thoughts on Tampa Bay, the host city for WrestleMania 37?
Well, already, look, the day started just like any other. I picked Evan up at his parents' house. He was visiting his parents, and my car was all filled with gas, ready to go, and just before we were about to get onto the turnpike, a light went on. It's an EPC light. I'm not sure what that stands for. I'm not sure what it means, but I didn't like what the car was doing, so I took it to the dealer. We went across the street, rented a car. We have our priorities, and I just said, here, take this car, fix it, and we headed up to Tampa. There was some traffic, but we made it here, by about 7:30, and checked in. We definitely upgraded this time on the hotel.
Yes, we're staying at the Hilton Doubletree. Quite nice,
the
Andy.
Hilton Doubletree, as opposed to the COVID motel that we stayed in New Orleans a couple of years ago.
Yes, usually it's the one-star motel with the free continental breakfast.
Yeah.
Which is usually a stale box of
Rice Krispies.
Corn Pops.
Yeah, exactly. And, the drug dealers on the corner. And but here, so far, Tampa, I've been here before, but never really like this. So it's very exciting. It's so much fun coming into these when we arrive. Like, I remember arriving in New Orleans a few years ago.
A lot of anticipation.
Yeah, it's just like even on the plane, but even like you get here and like I was telling you in the car on the way, I was like, I always feel like we're the only real wrestling fans. It just, for some reason, I just feel that way.
What do you mean by that?
What do I mean by that? Like, it's like you and me are driving in the car. We got all our stuff. We got our wrestling T-shirts. We got all, and I didn't expect to walk into the hotel lobby and seeing a whole bunch of people who are here for WrestleMania, and I realized this. I keep realizing it's much bigger than I think it is. It doesn't really belong to us anymore. It belongs to the world. But we walk into the lobby and there's I thought we looked ridiculous in our. I'm wearing my Hulk Hogan bandana and my WrestleMania 3 shirt, and I was like, I'm gonna check into a 3-star hotel like this, and then I walk in and I see people in the New Day shirts, a guy carrying a big box of Bootios, and so it's like you never really quite realize how big this thing is until you're there, until you're in the town. And I always say it's just like the Super Bowl. When the Super Bowl comes to town, they literally take over the town, and like everywhere you look, it's NFL, NFL, NFL. And right now in Tampa, and even down in Clearwater, where we were just a couple hours ago, it's WWE all over the place.
Does it feel a little bit muted though, because you're going into 2 nights of WrestleMania, limited capacity? Yes, there's a lot of fans, but I'm thinking back to our experiences in Orlando, in New York, New Orleans was crazy.
Yeah.
It feels busy, but it doesn't feel compact. It doesn't feel heavy.
I think we talked about that before, and I think I changed my tune on that, because you're right, but I think the reason is because here it seems a little bit more spread out. In New Orleans, everything was kind of taking place in one area.
True.
Here, it's like Tampa Bay's a little, a little different. Just like I said, we just drove 30 miles to go have dinner over at Hulk Hogan's Hangout bar in Clearwater. And there were people all over there who were wearing, the gear and stuff. So this is kind of more spread out. And it reminds me of, I went to the Super Bowl here in Tampa Bay. I forgot which game it was, but it was 2001 or 2, whenever it was here. And it reminds me of that. It was the town really turned into the NFL experience, just like right now this town is the W. Just go downstairs in the lobby, you'll see they're all still hanging out. It's amazing.
So we get in a rental car, we go 30 miles to Hogan's Hangout restaurant bar in Clearwater, Florida. Why don't you give everybody a quick review of Hogan's Hangout?
Well, it was the only thing Hogan about it was there's not much. The restaurant, it's a good place. They're very nice.
Yes,
they were very nice to us. There's live music there, but once you get past the big Hogan statue there, it's just a regular bar. There's really nothing. There's a little kiosk with some gear there, but there's not much else. But the food was good.
Yeah.
My burger was good. My Diet Coke was good. Took some pictures, and then we walked around Clearwater a little bit. And Hogan's store, his beach shop, was a couple blocks down. So we saw that, and that's where that's where all his. That's like the little mini Hogan museum there. I was hoping to see that at Hogan's Hangout. We didn't, but look. We were talking to some wrestling fans in there, and everybody's just all amped up for this whole thing. So that added to the experience.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought Hogan's Hangout would be more Hogan-y.
Yeah.
If that's a word.
I was actually hoping he would be there. I figured.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to be there.
But I figured it would. I figured the whole place would be like wall to wall. All those TV screens would be glued to SmackDown, and everybody would be watching and cheering. It wasn't like that. There were a couple TVs with that on, but then they had the games on. The Yankee game was on, another couple of things. So, it was an enjoyable evening.
One quick thing. So I'm looking at the menu and I go, I'm in Florida. I got to have a nice piece of fish. So I order the salmon, and the lady says, "Listen, none of our entrees are on the menu. We're still in our soft opening." So I said to her, "Oh, soft opening? Did you guys just open?" Well, we opened in August. So they're still in their soft opening, limited menu. And then she said, "By the way, it's real busy in the kitchen. It may take a little bit longer for your meal to come out." And it didn't take too long. So.
No, but it was
so funny. I guess, Hogan, the food was nice.
Because they don't have any fish, even though the restaurant's on the beach.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's very little Hulk Hogan-esque. except for the
I'd like
the
it to
title.
have more. I'd like it, like you said, I'd like it to be more Hogan-y. But you know what? We went. And
if you were looking for a fun bar restaurant on the beach to watch a ball game, you could do a lot worse.
Yeah,
than Hogan's
exactly.
Hangout.
And I was really impressed with that. I was telling you, like that Clearwater area right there, just really a pleasant like beachfront area with the kind of reminded me of Beach Place in Fort Lauderdale, but less crowded and more my style, meaning like sort of, you heard like I remember we were walking by, I heard like John Mellencamp music playing from one of the places. I'm like, yeah, in Fort Lauderdale they'd be playing, like the stuff that I don't listen to.
Like
so
a Bad Bunny.
well, we'll be talking about Bad Bunny as we go forward. But yeah, it was a really enjoyable evening, and I'm just really thrilled to be here. Thrilled to be here with you as always. And it's just this is what we train for.
Well, we started 5 years ago. We went to Orlando, and that started our tradition. Mm-hmm. Last year, unfortunately, with COVID, WrestleMania 36, we watched on television like everybody else and podcasted about it afterwards, but we didn't get a chance to link up together. So very glad to be here in Tampa Bay. Very glad to be here live. Now, WrestleMania this year is 2 nights. We discussed that on the last podcast. Right. Let's revisit some of the key matches for night one. We've already discussed it. I'll ask Andy if he has any additional thoughts. As predicted, the Bad Bunny versus Miz match has now been changed to a tag team. It's going to be the all-star rapper Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, the recent NXT call-up, versus The Miz and, of course, his frequent tag team partner, John Morrison. I believe you went with The Miz. I'm going to go with the Bunny on this one.
Well, now I'm changing because now that it's a tag team match, now they can have a way for the Bad Bunny to win and the Miz to lose without really hurting the Miz character and making him look like he got beat by Bad Bunny. So what's going to happen is Bad Bunny is going to pin John Morrison.
Okay.
That's what I think is going to happen.
I just feel like they've put too much stake into Bad Bunny. I mean, again, we've said
his music,
I hate it. His music and his deal, not for us, but he's apparently a pretty well-known rapper and has gotten some good cred. So I think then, for them to put all that time and money into him, they're not going to let him take a loss at WrestleMania.
Exactly, and even if it was somebody who we liked, like maybe an actor or a musician that we liked, would we feel any different about this? I wouldn't. Not here.
No, but as I said to you in the car, I've come to the stark realization that The Miz, unfortunately, I believe, has been painted somewhat in the corner as a comedic mid-carder at best. I think he's a guy who's professional. If right now his deal is comedy. He can play the straight-up angry heel as well. I think his runs at the top will be very short and brief, transition type champion to be called upon. We loved him, but I think really this last run he was champion for a week or two, and then they made him look so weak when he dropped the title with Lashley. So I think he's just he's a strong mid-carder who can transition to whatever the WWE needs. Very professional. But could brawl. Could Matt wrestle a little bit? Could do it all.
And like I said, I think he's okay with that because we remember where he came from. He was a TV star before he was a WWE guy. So, and he's still got the Miz and Mrs.
Yeah.
So he loves being on television, and he's one guy you don't hear a peep from. About they're like even Bray Wyatt would tweet out some things like cryptic things like they're not using me right or whatever. Like you never see any bitching and moaning from the Miz about anything.
I think he's a professional company guy.
Yeah, and I respect the hell out of that. I really like that guy.
And you made a comment interesting in the car. You said you could see a role with him commentating. I mean, I definitely think when his wrestling career slows down or he's ready to move on. A career in on screen. He's a good looking guy. He's a good presence. I could definitely
very handsome guy.
Very sexy. Yeah. Very sexy man. Speaking of sexy, SmackDown's Women's Champion Sasha Banks, night one versus Bianca Belair. We both like Sasha.
Yes.
Any additional thoughts heading into the match?
No, nothing really. I mean, I nothing really has changed in the storyline in the since we talked about it. So I see this going Sasha's way as I did before.
Okay. The main event of night one, Bobby Lashley, the champ, versus Drew McIntyre. I believe, Groo, you like McIntyre. Myself, I like Lashley. Think it would be too soon to take the title off him. Two big, strong guys, both been in professional wrestling for almost 15 years. Both have that similar journey to the top. Been overlooked, left the WWE for periods of time. I like the storyline. I like the build, and I really like both wrestlers. I guess I said I slightly like Lashley, just a hint more going into this main event. It's been another week or two of storyline. Any additional thoughts? You still like Drew? Any initial thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I still like Drew for it, only because, like I was telling you before, in their last match, it was Lashley where he won the championship. So if Lashley wins again, that's kind of like two in a row, and to me that really diminishes Drew unless they have plans to make it just an all-out, like one of those stone-cold passing-out bleeding endings where he doesn't really lose, he just kind of passes out. So everybody kind of wins, even though Lashley walks out with the championship.
Do you really think in today's professional wrestling or today's WWE, somebody really gets diminished with a loss? Because my thing is, these guys and girls are booked so much in the start-stop booking that all it takes is a week or two of hot booking, and it seems they're right back up to the level again.
Yeah, you know what? You're right, but it just to me it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to you have the match on, what are they, on Raw or SmackDown? I keep getting confused.
Here's a question: how do you feel as Bobby Lashley as your champion?
I think he'll be a terrific one.
Really?
Yeah, because he's a good heel. I think once he's firmly established as a long-term champion, I think he'll go face, and he'll be very popular.
Yeah.
And he's got that kind of charisma.
You like the association with MVP kind of as his mouthpiece as well?
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to last. I think eventually that's going to break up, and Bobby will, if you're going to have a real effective champ, a real effective face champ, which is what I think he'll be, they don't need managers. They don't need mouthpieces. And I don't think Bobby Lashley does either. But like I said, I don't think he's going to win. I think it's going to go Drew's way.
All right. They've added a couple of new matches going to night one. Let's review them.
Okay, yeah.
All right, let me give you the first one. Shane McMahon versus Braun Strowman, steel cage. Given Shane McMahon's recent verbal attacks on Strowman, in which he's called out the monster among men, supposed stupidity. I'll give you my thoughts initially, Andrew. Horrible premise, horrible execution, horrible build-up for the match. I guess Shane McMahon has become the WWE's newest big name veteran to lean on during WrestleMania time. If they need somewhat of a big name, Shane's the last veteran to be thrown in the mix. Braun has lost a lot of big-time matches, so I say give one to the stupid guy. I'm going to go Braun over Shane in a who gives a shit match, because I really don't care about this match, but I see no scenario in which Braun Strowman does not come out as victor. Let me throw it to my partner in crime. Groo, thoughts on Shane versus Braun?
I couldn't agree more with you. This is just, I don't get this one. Braun Strowman must have pissed somebody off to get stuck. I mean, think about where Braun Strowman has been. He was up. He was a main eventer, but then at the was it the Royal Rumble that he won the tag titles with that little kid, or was that Mania?
Nicholas?
Nicholas. We were
By
there.
the way, I absolutely love that moment. I loved it.
Yes, but what does that do to Strowman?
So here's my question, and I'm freestyling right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sitting in a hotel room with Andy.
Go ahead.
Has Braun Strowman entered Big Showdom?
Yes, that's a great way to put it. That's what it seems like.
Tell our listeners, what does Big Showdom mean to you?
Big Showdom, Big Show, Paul White was the giant in WCW. He's 7 feet tall, just an absolute monster. great mic skills, just never a great wrestler, but you can't be that big and be a great wrestler, but just an imposing presence. And not long after he made the jump to WWE, he started getting used as enhancement talent. He never had that huge run that he should have had. His biggest moment was when the Big Boss Man interrupted his father's fake funeral and took it and started that feud by grabbing the casket out of the ground. I mean, Big Show is just and then finally he just said I had enough and he switched over to AEW.
I think he was the victim of a lot of stop-start booking, the Big Show.
Yeah.
I think he had a pretty decent run. If I thought about his best moments were the early 2000s against Brock Lesnar. I mean, he had some crazy matches on SmackDown. I felt like Braun's opportunity, and I don't remember what the year was, but it was a few years ago against Brock Lesnar when he was really got that mega push that he could have beaten, and they never rang the switch on it, and I just feel like he's lost momentum. In the world of WWE, all it takes is a strong month, and he might get back there. But I do agree with you. He's not one that's going to be so quick, and for some reason, he's become more of an attraction. And I maybe Vince doesn't see championship material in him, but he's definitely one that's in kind of booking quicksand.
Yeah, I agree, but as far as what I think the outcome of the match will be, I disagree with you. I think Shane's going to win. Why? Because every time we say Shane's going to lose, he always wins. Against Randy Orton the last time. You
like Braun, but it would not shock you if Shane wins.
I think Shane is going to win.
Oh, so you're picking Shane?
Yeah, I'm picking Shane.
All right, so we have different picks. I'm going Braun here.
I'm picking Shane.
All right, let's move on. Raw Tag Team Championship, The New Day, the champs versus AJ Styles and Omos. I'll read you a little build-up, and I'll throw it to you first for your thoughts.
Okay.
The New Day regained their tag team titles from the Hurt Business on Raw, and shortly afterwards, Styles and his new muscle, Omos, came out to make the challenge. And the New Day quickly accepted, and this will mark the in-ring debut of Omos on the main roster. I'll throw it to Andy for his thoughts and prediction.
I'm looking forward to this match. I think it'll be a lot of high flyings. I think it'll be AJ Styles and Kofi Kingston in the same ring is always going to be entertaining. What's the other guy's name?
Omos.
No, in New Day. I forgot. I keep forgetting.
Kofi and
Xavier Woods. They've been sort of breaking themselves off from Big E.
Well, they have.
Well, yeah. They're not. They didn't turn on them. They just
but they're on two separate shows.
So they're now on a tag. They're now their own tag team, and I think they're building up some momentum, and I like it. It's a tough match to call because it's very difficult to bet against AJ Styles against anybody because he's just really good, and especially if they're debuting somebody at WrestleMania who they want to sort of pave something for. So I think I'm going to call the New Day in this one, but I think it's going to be a good match, and I think everybody's going to walk away looking good.
So Groo likes the New Day. Let me tell you what I wrote here. I don't even have much of a feeling here. I wrote, Andy, the New Day don't need the titles to go over. You could say AJ Styles has taken a lesser role in this year's Mania. He's got Omos, who looks impressive in stature, but probably can't wrestle for a lick. Moody says, go with AJ and Omos on this one. I mean, the New Day is such an entrenched tag team champions. They've lost so many times as well. It's almost Ric Flair territory. So for them to lose is not really a big deal. I think the key is going to be AJ is going to get the major push in this match because I don't think Omos, he's a big, tall guy, and from what I've read online, his matches have not gone well in the developmental territory kind of deals.
So then why are they doing this then?
I told you in my notes, I don't have a feeling on this. It's not very impressive of a build. I think you'll see AJ pick up most of the match. You'll see Omos do some power moves. You like the New Day. They're the better team, but I think, I don't know why, I'm just calling AJ and Omos.
I feel like if the New Day doesn't win here, they're gonna drift towards like bushwhacker territory.
No,
You don't think so?
no. They've lost.
All right, I hope not.
They've won. They've won and lost so many times that
Yeah, but even Kofi, like he won the championship, but now he's back to the tag team. Like when Bret Hart won the championship, he never looked back. Yeah, I mean, and I see Kofi back in the New Day when he was trying to really break out on his own, and it's kind of like he's coming back with his tail between his legs a little bit, don't you think?
If you've probably got Kofi money, he wouldn't say tail between his legs at all. I'm sure he's probably another guy similar to The Miz. He had a great championship run.
It wasn't great. It wasn't. It was.
He had a hold on
a couple of months.
He won the championship at Mania, and he probably was champ about 5 or 6 months, and then he got toasted out by Brock on the premiere of SmackDown on Fox.
Squash.
Okay, but
yeah,
he had his run, and sure, could you have made he never got that championship run back, but Kofi's been on this roster for a long time.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
sure he's highly respected in the locker room and behind the scenes. So
I'm still gonna stick with. I think they're gonna give it to the New Day.
You could do a lot worse than have a championship run and then go to an A-level tag team.
Oh, absolutely. But we look at things based on history and based on trends and patterns.
No, but to make a New Day comparison to the Bushwhackers, who are a strictly comedic.
Well, what
jobber?
Wait a second.
Jobber?
All right, let's just hold the phone just for a second, because a couple of years ago, when we and actually you'll be sort of proven right here, but just to show you where it was headed. Remember when they hosted? I think it was Orlando. They hosted WrestleMania. They didn't even have a match.
Okay,
and they were just coming out every now and then and doing their little shtick and whatever. And they were all about the comedic.
But they were
thing.
hosting. I mean,
yeah, but
I don't deny that the New Day have a very comedic element. They're very popular with the kids, but they could scrap.
Yes, they can.
But the Bushwhackers never had championship runs like the New Day, not even close.
Oh, of course they did. I don't even remember them ever winning a match.
Okay,
but what I'm saying is, I don't want to see them get demoted to just being the comic relief.
I don't think they've been on
good.
top and they're too good.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the last match I want to highlight for night one. I'll give you my thoughts and my prediction, and I'll throw it to you. Mm-hmm. Not Cesaro, it's Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. We know, Groo, that Seth Rollins made his return back to the WWE after birth of his daughter with Becky Lynch, and he immediately told the WWE locker room to follow him in the future. A playoff of his Monday Night Messiah character on Raw. Of course, Cesaro laughed this off, and boom, match has been born. Rollins may just be, as you mentioned to me in the car, the newest Mr. WrestleMania, as he may very well be the best overall wrestler on the WWE roster, but it just feels like, to me, it's Cesaro's time. I know that he just signed a new long-term deal with the WWE. He's getting a little bit of a push on SmackDown. He's a very talented guy who's been overlooked for years, and of course Vince McMahon made the brass ring comment about him on the Stone Cold podcast. So I think Cesaro actually does reach for the brass ring at this year's Mania. I like him in a mild upset over Seth Rollins at WrestleMania this year. Groo, your thoughts on Cesaro versus Seth Rollins?
I think it says a lot that Cesaro is in a match of this caliber against a star of this caliber, and I think this has the potential to be like a match of the year candidate. I hope it is. I'm rooting for this match to be the sleeper match that everybody talks about, and I'm looking for a Cesaro win.
Ooh, okay.
I believe I even before you said that, that just what you said cements it even further. I think they're going to give him a little bump, and Rollins doesn't need the win. There's no title on the line, so they can always have a rematch the next, on Monday, or are they on SmackDown or Raw? I'm getting confused.
They're on SmackDown.
All right, so they could have a rematch on Thursday or Friday, whenever it is.
Right.
But I think this is, like you said, I think this is Cesaro's time. And if they put on a hell of a match, and Cesaro comes out the winner, I think this could be his what he needs to get to where he deserves to be.
Let's wrap up night one. We'll just go over picks real quick. Moody likes Braun Strowman, Groo, Shane McMahon in their steel cage match. Excuse me. Raw Tag Team Championship. Again, a disagreement. Groo's going to go with the champs, the New Day. Moody says AJ Styles and Omos in a little bit of an upset. As we just recapped earlier, both Moody and Groo like Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. Cesaro to get the win. In some of the bigger matches on night one, both Moody and Groo like The Bunny and Damian Priest to beat The Miz and John Morrison, even though we are still big Miz fans. Both Moody and Groo like Sasha Banks, the champ, to successfully defend her title against Bianca Belair, the SmackDown's Women's Championship. And, of course, the big main event. And it's a big one. I'm looking forward to it. Night one, WWE Championship. Moody says give it to the champ, Bobby Lashley. Groo says Drew McIntyre regains the title. Let's go to night two.
All right.
We'll go back to the big matches and get any additional thoughts. Night two, Sunday, April 11th. Let's start off with The Fiend versus Bray Wyatt. Groo, I believe you said you go with Randy. Moody likes Bray Wyatt, The Fiend. Any additional thoughts going into this?
No, I'm going to stick with it because sort of like you just never bet against Randy Orton. They just seem to keep bringing him back and keep putting him over. The Fiend has a gimmick that does not require wins. You know what I mean?
So actually, I think the opposite.
Okay.
Randy Orton's stature he's had enough big match wins, big WrestleMania moments, that I actually see it the opposite way for a similar reason. The Fiend has been a victim of, with these gimmicky characters as well, even Kane towards the end of his career, the start-stop booking. And I think, Randy sort of had the upper hand. He burned The Fiend, and I know he's had some tanglements with Alexa Bliss, blah, 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 blah. But I just don't see no scenario. They put too much into this character. I think The Fiend gets his big WrestleMania moment. And it's going to be, it's going to be something perhaps quick. They're not doing a 20-minute chain wrestling match. No.
You think there'll be a schmaz? You think
something weird or something.
Maybe Luke Harper's still alive and he comes from underneath the ring or something.
Dominus Ominous, you'll be all right.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't know if they've announced any kind of gimmick with this match. I think it's been listed as a normal match, although everybody seems to be angling towards some kind of cinematic quality. I can't see them not doing something of that effect. I just hope it's not what they did.
Oh, they'll be pyro.
Yeah, I just hope it's not what they did in Orlando, which is the that ridiculous. Remember they put like worms.
Yeah,
we were like, "What's going on?"
Who was it? Was he against Cena?
No, that was Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt.
Oh, really?
6 years ago.
Jesus Christ! What
does Jesus have to do?
What did they do? Why are they doing this again? Come on.
Well, I mean, I think they refreshened up both characters.
Yeah,
Randy's been on a great run, and he's shown that he could tangle with different people and make it work. But I just,
know something. I'm going to switch my pick here.
Oh God!
No, and here's why. Because something you said resonated with me. They've put The Fiend down enough. They've put Bray Wyatt down enough. I think it's time for him to because he never wins these big matches.
No, he doesn't.
I think it's time.
Okay.
And like you said, neither of them needs a win to be effective. They both have made their bones as far as their presence. But I think it's Bray's time. So, yeah, I'm switching over. You've won me over.
Okay. Let's go to the Raw Women's Championship. Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. I believe you went with
Asuka.
The champ Asuka. I'm going to Rhea Ripley. Any additional thoughts?
No. I don't think this has changed either. In fact, I saw Asuka in a match. I'm pretty sure I saw her in a match the other night. And they're pushing her big. And I think deservedly so. So I think this will be her biggest WrestleMania match. And I think she'll win it.
Yeah, Asuka's my favorite female wrestler on the roster. I just feel in the back of my mind somehow they're kind of pushing Rhea. She's the big call up from NXT, big flavor of the month, and Asuka just seems in some of the real big moments she seems to get overlooked. Charlotte Flair. Had this been Asuka versus Charlotte, I might have angled for Asuka to get the comeback win against Charlotte Flair because Charlotte beat her the first time.
Does Charlotte make some kind of run-in in this, or is she going to be involved somewhere else?
I hope not.
Right.
I mean, she's been called out for COVID. Apparently, she's been cleared to return, but I don't want this to be a three-way nor schmaz. If Asuka wins,
three-way would be
that'd be on the Peacock channel.
Hey now.
But and I would pay for that. That would be fun to watch. However, all things considered, I want just a straight-up match. I don't want to see run-ins or anything like that. If Asuka wins, let her win clean. If Rhea wins, let her win clean. No Charlotte Flair. You want to do some backstage segments where she talks trash to set up future feuds? No problem with that.
Put her at ringside. Give her put her a commentary for the match, and start up some shit there.
I could live with that. Absolutely,
that'd be fun.
All right, we talked about this. We were at Hogan's Hangout. SmackDown was on. We saw Roman Reigns, and we saw Edge make an appearance. So let's go over again the Universal Championship, the big main event, night 2. Roman Reigns, your champ, versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan. Andy likes Edge to walk out as champ with the big return. Moody says keep the belt on your big heel champ, Roman Reigns. Andy, any additional thoughts going into the match?
Yes, because you got to remember, since we've made these predictions, Edge is on a nice heel turn. So now
he's gotten darker, more of the rated R superstar vibe.
Yeah. So now you've got sort of like two heels with Roman and Edge against Bryan, who is really like white hot right now. As far as crowd, he's still got the crowd in the palm of his hands. And the fact alone that they're putting him into this, I know cynically I said that usually they do this just so they could get the belt off of Roman without having him being pinned. But I'm going to call to the better angels of our nature, and I really think that Daniel Bryan is actually going to win this.
Wow.
And walk away with the title.
That is a gutsy call.
I don't think the reign will last long. Because he seems to be falling into sort of Miz territory where, he could be a transitional guy. But the fact that they're putting him into this, okay, you don't need Edge and Roman Reigns do not need enhancement talent. So the fact that they're putting Daniel Bryan, a former Mania main eventer, into this match tells me something. And I'm going to switch it up. Even though last time I predicted that this exact thing would happen, I'm changing my pick and I'm going with Bryan.
Yeah. I still say Roman leaves as your champ, but I would not be surprised at all if the belt ends up on somebody else. As a matter of fact, from what I'm reading, it wouldn't really shock me. I think they've just booked Roman. I do think they booked him really well, and I just don't want him. I want it to mean something, and I know WrestleMania is a big time stage, but I literally like to see Roman go into a long term, old school run with the belt, a year and a half.
So in order of preference, I'm guessing your top pick would be Roman.
Yep.
About who you'd want to win, not who you think is going to win, but who you'd want to win. Roman followed by who?
Daniel Bryan.
And Edge last, really?
Yeah, because as I said in my notes, I just feel like Edge has lost momentum. I know he's maybe upticked with this whole rated R superstar kind of vibe again, but as I said in my notes, he came in 2020, won the Royal Rumble, and I was off my couch like everybody else. So excited to see him.
Well, no, he didn't win that year. He won this year.
Okay, my bad.
Right?
I'm sorry.
Am I right? Am I right about that?
You're right. Absolutely right. Okay. So then he had the amazing run against Randy Orton and the world's greatest wrestling match, and then he got hurt and came back and just kind of felt like they inserted him real quick in the Royal Rumble victory, and off he went. I do believe Edge will get that sort of anointed veteran returning championship run. I just don't want it to be here. But it feels like the belt's coming off of Roman. But no, I want Roman to hold on to the belt.
But if the belt is cleanly won by, is there a scenario that you would be disappointed with if it's a good match?
No, because I like
you like
Edge
all
and
three.
Daniel Bryan are great wrestlers.
Yeah.
Disappointed.
I'll be disappointed if Roman wins.
Yeah. Well, that's because you don't like Roman Reigns.
I don't like him as the top guy.
You have Roman Reigns-ism. Roman Reigns-ism.
I guess so. I just never liked him as the top guy, and they keep trying to say this is our top guy.
No, you keep on referencing
like
2013. 8-9 years ago when he was coming right up from NXT, and, the Royal Rumble in Philly when they brought out The Rock. And
but even when he disappeared for a while because of his medical situation, not when he first had to leave because of the recurrence of his leukemia, and God bless him for that.
Don't give us your God bless.
Wait a minute. What?
You're bashing the guy, and then you go,
I'm not
God
bashing
bless.
him. I'm saying, but then when he left for a while because of COVID, because of his treatment, it's very dangerous when your immune system is compromised like that. So then he came back, and he was literally just inserted right into this. By
the way, speaking of COVID, if this room is any colder, I'm going to come down with COVID again. We're raising the temp before I go to bed. Before I go to Betty's.
I'm just look. I don't dislike him. I'm just sort of tired of them saying, "Hey, this is our guy, whether you like it or not."
Who else do they have? I asked you at the bar. Who else would you want to hold the championship on SmackDown? Who else could you visually look at and go, I think they could beat Roman Reigns one-on-one?
I don't look at it from Raw and SmackDown perspectives. I look at the whole roster, and I would say McIntyre, I'd say Edge, I'd say Bryan, I'd say Rollins, I'd say AJ Styles, I'd say any of those people, because I still think they get a better reaction from the crowds than Roman does. He just hasn't won me over yet, and I would love it if he did, but it just hasn't gotten there yet. That's just how I feel.
All right.
You get so upset.
I know. I give him credit. They tried something different. I like that Paul Heyman.
I don't dislike it. I
got the floor now.
All right.
I like the Paul Heyman mouthpiece. I like the whole head of the table thing. I like he's kind of stoic. He doesn't really say much, and when he does, it means something. And never hurts to have Paul Heyman as your mouthpiece. So
very true.
I've enjoyed this latest incarnation. I'm with you in the early 13s, the 14s, the 15s. They kept on putting him out there. Although I think that first match against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania was a really good one. That second one in New Orleans was dog crap because the fans just shit all over it. But the first one where Rollins came out and cashed in, that was a good, solid wrestling match. He did a good job there. All right, let's move on. Night 2. I believe this is going to be night 2. SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, versus the Street Profits, anointed by Sonya Deville, who's sort of becoming a 30-figure on WWE television. Not much of a pub here. Groo, any thoughts on Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode versus the Street Profits?
Yeah, I would love to see Ziggler and Roode win. Unfortunately, there's no way they're going to win this one. They really hate these guys. I remember when Roode came in the beginning, I was like, this guy's going to be the next, big thing. And they just booked him so horribly, and they're putting him in with Ziggler now, who has been fledgling for a good 5-6 years without really doing anything. His biggest moment was what was it? He was Brock Lesnar, where Brock just kept throwing him out of the ring and he just kept coming right back in. You're looking at me like
no, I think
you don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't remember that one. I remember him getting jackhammered 3 times by Goldberg. He fought Goldberg at SummerSlam.
Maybe that was it. Yeah, he just kept coming back for more, and then finally got Goldberg got the 3 count. But they've been shitting all over him for a while for whatever reason. Wasn't he leaving? Wasn't he just supposed to leave and go somewhere else?
There's only so many spots at the top, and I believe Dolph has been paid very handsomely by the WWE.
No, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's why I don't think there's any chance in hell that those 2 guys are going to win. I think the Street Profits.
I agree with you, but I look at it more as the Street Profits. They're the better tag team, and they're up and coming, and they're going to be the bigger stars.
Yeah, Rude and Ziggler aren't even a team, really. Yeah. They're just 2 guys being thrown together, right? Well, kind of, but as you rudely interrupted me, as you probably rudely interrupted me. Just Montez, I think very highly of Montez Ford, the Street Profits. Angelo Dawkins is a good big man wrestler, but Montez Ford can work. If you really watch the Street Profits, that dude can get some serious height on his aerial attack. Right, I'm listening. It's too fucking cold in here.
Yeah, please. What the fuck? Guy's got it like it's 71 degrees. He lives in Florida. I live in Arizona. If it goes under 80, I'm in hypothermia. Well, anyway, listen, to anyone who's listening, I think Montez Ford is a big star. The husband of Bianca Belair, who will be wrestling for the SmackDown Championship against it.
Do you think these guys play musical wives? Everybody's married to somebody within the organization.
Well, I don't know musical wives. What I would say to you is, come on. It's you're on the road together, and you're in the same profession, so you sort of know what the other person is going through. It's maybe no different in a sense than any other workplace romance.
Yeah.
Except in this workplace.
So why do I keep getting sued then? No, I'm just kidding.
No comment. All right, Groo, let's get to it. The United States Championship, Night 2. Riddle, your champion, versus Sheamus.
Aha!
With Sheamus out of the WWE title picture, but on a great run. WWE seemed to need to find a spot for him to land. Riddle made the big mistake of riding his scooter through a interview with Sheamus, and therefore we have the match, set up. Riddle is here's what I say, Groo. Riddle is a very talented wrestler. We know he's a former legit UFC guy, so the skills are there. But I feel like he's been somewhat saddled with this sort of surfer, RVD, pro-marijuana, get every sort of jab about marijuana into his gimmick. And I do think it's actually weighing him down. Say what you want, but Sheamus has been mid-card gold when he came back from injury a few months ago. I say give the veteran a spot here for his long record of work. Riddle will have a great career, but I'm going to go with Sheamus for the big win for the U.S. Championship here. What do you got?
I'm going to go with Sheamus as well, but I would love it if Riddle won. Love this.
Stop.
I love this.
Can you have an opinion?
He's making me what?
Have an opinion and stop with the I want this guy to win, but I'd love if this guy to win.
Wait a second. No.
Oh, my Lord.
Wait a second. I can't.
No, you can't. There.
I'm saying I think this guy's going to win, but I want this guy to win. That's okay. Why can't I do that?
I don't know why. It just annoys me. It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
I agree with you. Is that what time
no,
it is?
No, I'm joking. It's like
12:45.
I'm dehydrated.
I agree with you about Sheamus. He's on a massive run right now. He's earned it, absolutely. And I actually do like the run that he's on. I like his new look.
Yes.
But I'm loving what they've done with Riddle. I really am enjoying it.
And
it's funny.
Like Riddle, and I liked the gimmick hasn't changed much, but he's always been a laid-back guy. But now, like I saw on Raw, he was interacting with the New Day.
I was laughing my ass off. He's
Come on,
he's
like
so stupid. I know, it was so funny.
Hey, man, I got to blaze down to the ring.
Kofi. Like I was like, this guy's great. I was just like, this.
Here's
guy's
what
fun.
I would say: he'd be better off with a live crowd, so you can get that real, legitimate live crowd reaction if he was doing some spicy humor backstage.
But he's going to lose, and he's going to go the way of Elias, pretty much. That's what I think is going to happen.
I hope that doesn't happen to him.
I hope
too talented of a guy.
I agree, but I think that I see that happening.
All right, let me give you the background on this match. I'll go to you first for your prediction. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, we know, has been sort of refashioned as this crying conspiracy theorist on SmackDown ever since he lost the Intercontinental Championship. He's hired a documentary crew to film his situation. Zayn asked his old friend Kevin Owens to participate in the documentary before striking him with a hell of a kick when Owens refused, and then Owens would eventually lay down the challenge for WrestleMania, and they've got YouTuber Logan Paul in the mix. Andrew, thoughts on Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn with YouTuber Logan Paul in Sami Zayn's corner?
See, you take Logan Paul out of it, and you have a chance for this to be the match of the night for night 2. This could be a great one, and I think that I don't like the initial setup, but everything since has been good. They've been doing very well, the two of them.
Okay.
And I think Kevin Owens is going to take it. I think Owens, he is part of the true future of the WWE, and I think he's got a long way to go with this company, and I think that road starts here. I'd like to see a big win from him at Mania on Sunday, and I think he'll get it.
Andrew, you are correct. I did say the Logan Paul thing has really not moved me much, but I'm an old guy. Both wrestlers are solid mid-carders, but I'm going to give the nod to Kevin Owens, who really impressed me with that run against Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
that was a great run.
Yeah, and why do they need Logan Paul in this thing?
Well, you know, the WWE, they're looking for sound bites, they're looking for social media mentions, and say what you want. It's not part of our generation. Yes, you're a couple of years younger than me, but Logan Paul is a big-time YouTuber. I know that much. I've read about him.
No, I know who he is.
He does celebrity boxing. He's got a little bit of a name for that. So.
No, but you put him in another. You know, he could only, in my opinion, he could only get in the way of two wrestlers having a great match here. I'd rather, if they need him somewhere else, there are other places that they could put him. But hopefully he won't be a factor, and we'll get to see these two guys just go at it, have a nice clean.
Do you think with his boxing background he gets involved with some physicality in this match?
Probably. Otherwise, what's the point? Why is he?
Well, they've had celebrities before just stand at ringside and
but not
run around.
But not a fighter.
Okay. I'm thinking he might get involved too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wish he wouldn't. I'd like to see the guys in the match do the fighting, but. Either way, I still stand by the Owens win, and and Logan Paul will probably be the one to cost.
I'm thinking he might turn on Sammy and hit him, knock him out.
Whether he turns on him or he just screws up or something, he'll probably affect the outcome of the match. That'll send it Owens' way.
Final additional match of the night that we haven't talked about yet, Groo. Night 2, Intercontinental Championship, Big E the champ versus Apollo Crews. Big E and Cruz have had an extended rivalry that saw Cruz heel turn and attack Big E with the ring steps when he failed several times to win the IC title. Big E won their Fastlane match, but Cruz beat him down once again after the match, leading to yet another showdown on the biggest stage. I'm a Big E guy, but I do love this Apollo Nigerian gimmick. I say give Apollo the win and push Big E into the main event picture. So I'm going to go with Mr. Wakanda, Apollo Crews on this one. Andrew, thoughts on Big E, Apollo for the Intercontinental Championship?
These guys have serious heat, and Big E has been they've both been doing a great job in selling this feud. They're really dialing it up to 11, and I'm really looking forward to this match. I think you're right. I think Apollo Crews is going to win it. But I think Big E is going to show everybody that it's time for him to be in the main event picture in the world title picture, which is usually what happens when someone drops the IC belt, which I think he will do tomorrow to Apollo Crews, or Sunday to Apollo Crews, and move on to bigger and better things. And that's what I hope happens, because I think it's weird to say that I hope Big E loses so he can go on to bigger things. Do you know what I mean?
No. I mean, obviously,
it's like I'm thinking like.
Yes. What I like get to the match, your prediction, and let's move on. Don't dread. But I do agree with you with one thing.
It's called analysis.
And we don't need 3 hours
or analysis.
Analysis.
Analysis. Yeah.
I once rented that. I do agree that the IC title, usually historically, if it's a good solid champ, they lose and they bring them up to the main event picture. Let's sum up Night 2 one more time. SmackDown Tag Team Championships, the Dirty Dogs versus the Street Profits. Groo and Moody both like the Street Profits. U.S. Championship, Riddle the champ versus Sheamus. Both like the veteran Sheamus for the big win. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn featuring Logan Paul. Both Moody and Groo agree again. KO for the victory. Kevin Owens on that one. Intercontinental Championship, your champ Big E versus Apollo Crews. Another agreement. Both Moody and Groo like Apollo Crews for the mild upset. The Fiend versus Randy Orton. Groo has had time to mull it over and now agrees with Moody. We both like the Fiend Bray Wyatt for the big win at WrestleMania. Raw Women's Championship. We are split. Groo likes the champ Asuka, while Moody says the big NXT call-up Rhea Ripley might be her time to be champ there. And, of course, the big main event. It's a big one. Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan. Moody likes the champ to retain, though grudgingly could see a scenario that Groo mentions in which Daniel Bryan or Edge walk out as champion. But Groo likes the underdog, Daniel Bryan. He's had another week to think about it. And perhaps Daniel Bryan will turn it into WrestleMania. See how I connected? That's your WrestleMania predictions.
And away we go.
All right. Let's get... well, you ready to get to it? It's 5 things. Do we have the queued up?
We're gonna do. So we're just. No. Whoa. Just to give our
week that
audience.
Was.
Yeah. No. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying, just to talk about what our plans are. We're done with this with our WrestleMania predictions. Tomorrow night we're going to be going on after.
Well, we'll talk about that at the end of the podcast.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
I work on these notes. Look at all these notes I typed.
Yeah, which you just crumpled up and.
Well, I mean, God.
No, I was just saying because we're moving from WWE onto other subjects, so I just figured we'll be back tomorrow night to. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Andrew. So basically, you're saying tomorrow night after Night 1 WrestleMania, we'll give our.
Well, there might be something in between.
Well, okay, thank you. Yes, there's a Chinese buffet that we want to hit afterwards.
There will be no pictures of that.
But we'll be doing a Night 1 review.
Yeah, we will be.
Okay.
Yes.
Looking forward to it?
Yes, very much. Yeah, because I love doing the predictions and then seeing where we and talking about it and not just did it line up with our predictions, but how it happened and how close we were to what we thought and the surprises. I really love doing that.
What I like is we actually agree, but we got there in different sort of thought patterns. Like we agree
exactly.
that this guy will win. Or this
there
girl will win.
There are many paths to glory.
They certainly are.
Yeah.
All right, Groo, let's get to it. It's 5 things we are talking about this week. It's nothing worthwhile. The week that was.
Nothing worthwhile. The week that was.
The week that was is brought to you by New You Life Center, recently named by Phoenix Entrepreneur Magazine as a top 15 med spa to watch in 2021. Get to know Marie and Dr. Cynthia at www.newyoulifecenters.com. That's NUYOU lifecenters.com, or give them a call at 602-274-0068. A lot of big things happening for them. Tell them that Moody and Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. Thank you, New You Life Center. Groo, going into WrestleMania weekend, the WWE is always looking for a good business partner, and they found a great match with DraftKings. Vince McMahon's company and the popular fantasy betting website have announced a partnership. DraftKings is now the official gaming partner of the WWE. Ezra Kuchartz, Chief Business Officer at DraftKings, said of the new collaboration, "As a cultural icon and incredible sports and entertainment company, we are thrilled to join forces with WWE and introduce its devoted fan base to the DraftKings brand. The relationship helps fuel the engagement and drama of WWE's signature matches and storylines as audiences enjoy the second-screen experiences our products provide. DraftKings will receive exclusive licenses to WWE media assets and in-game branding for events. The two sides will also join forces for a number of integrated, free-to-play pool contests, products, and experience digital promotion and program integration." Stephanie McMahon, Chief Brand Officer of the WWE, said of the new deal, "We are excited to enter into this new agreement that makes DraftKings WWE first ever free-to-play gaming partner. This collaboration marks a significant step in deepening engagement with our passionate fan base and will provide DraftKings the opportunity to leverage the massive appeal and reach of the WWE brand. The new partnership will kick off in time for WrestleMania on April 10th and 11th. Groo, thoughts on the new deal? And will you be taking McIntyre +5 for the win at WrestleMania?"
The new deal. Is Roosevelt involved in that? Hey-o.
Oh.
So does this mean that I don't quite understand what's going on here?
Wow, I thought that was such a great setup. I thought you were salivating over.
Are you telling me that we can bet on wrestling matches?
Isn't that what Draft? I don't know.
Yes.
DraftKings, I'm not too familiar with it because I don't bet online.
I don't get that because this is not. It's like, all right, next year are we
But doesn't
betting?
Dave Meltzer always quote betting odds? Don't they have all the websites, the dirt sheets?
I don't listen to him.
But don't they always say like Edge +5? I mean, do
they? I've never seen that.
Okay, let's just say it is. Let's just say it's sports entertainment. Would you not ever consider for fun putting a $30 bet on Daniel Bryan to win the championship at Fastlane or some?
I think it would be a lot of fun, but it doesn't quite make sense because the outcomes are controlled. So it's like if this was 30 years ago, would DraftKings be betting like who shot JR? Like, I mean, could that not be a future prop? I guess so. But the thing is, you have people who are making the decisions about who is
true.
So that, and they could tell. I mean, this if it is what it sounds like. It's like insider trading almost. It's like if one guy knows the outcome from the WWE, he could go tell his wife, or get himself like 5 times removed. Tell your wife to tell her cousin to tell this to put $20 on Sami Zayn to win 5 times. Like whatever. I don't know. It just seems like you're opening up Pandora's box for some.
I don't think it's going to be that simple, but now I feel like I should not have put this even in my notes.
No. It's I saw that but I didn't hear it to that extent, and the way you explain it, kind of.
Don't you feel like it's just all those statements are a fancy way of saying WWE fans can now bet DraftKings?
Which I don't think is a good thing. I feel like there has to be something more to it. I feel like because she said in the statement, she said free play. They could play for free.
Well,
okay.
I'm sure they'll be there. I'm sure there's probably like tiers. So I'm sure that maybe you could do something for free. But
if it's like something where you're literally just paying a couple bucks to enter a contest to put like your list of predictions of who's going to win and and whoever wins the contest or what, I don't know. I before I would be a part of that because I've done FanDuel, I haven't done DraftKings, but I'd have to look at. I'm interested to hear more about that. What?
Is that because of the debt consolidation call?
Touche.
All right. Well, Groo, I don't know how I feel about this article. Maybe I needed content, but rough week for Hollywood son Chet Hanks as he ended up with
Who?
Do you know of Tom Hanks' son Chet Hanks?
I know who Tom Hanks is.
Do you know his son Chet's like a rapper, like a white boy rapper?
I didn't know he had a son named Chet.
Well, apparently,
Who the fuck names their kid Chet?
Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson.
Evidently.
So apparently, footage came out this week with Chet Hanks was busted open by his girlfriend. His girlfriend's African American, and she claims he came at her with a knife. She smashed him in the head with a pot, and
And now it's the main event at night 3 of WrestleMania.
I guess they were in, I think, New Orleans. And police were called, and I guess the girl was arrested. She's claiming that Chet Hanks, came at her, and Chet has faced backlash. He also declared after this that white boy summer is approaching. I'm not talking about Trump NASCAR type white, he said. I'm talking about me, R&B artist John B., rapper Jack Harlow type white boy summer. Let me know if you guys can vibe with that and get ready, because I am. So Tom Hanks is like America's dad, and he has a son who's like an Eminem, white rapper, and he's getting into fights with girlfriends, and getting busted open. And I guess there's not much to say about it, but I'll throw it to you if you have any thoughts.
Well, Tom has Chet, and Joe has Hunter, I guess. I'm guessing that Chet will be in rehab in about 2 weeks. It just sounds like he's headed down a very dark path of just craziness. I don't know. It's just there's something a little off about all that. Yeah, he's that it's got nothing to do with him being like a rapper, but one doesn't get into a fist fight with their girlfriend with foreign objects and then go on social media and say, "Oh, by the way, my new album's coming out in 3 days."
He claims that he caught his girlfriend stealing his money, taking his credit cards. And then she claims she had
So what? He's Chet Hanks. He doesn't need it. He just calls dad.
Well, come on. Groo, it's really free climbing. New Jersey native Laura Jasorkic said she's find it freeing, sharing photos of her rock climbing in the nude, insisting it's artistic and not pornographic at all. The 37-year-old climber told us the naked truth on how she started posing au naturel during her climbs last year. I instantly fell in love with naked climbing as it felt so freeing, she said. I am more prone to grazes when rock climbing and may end up with more scratches, but at least I won't snag my clothes. I'm not doing anything illegal, and I don't show off everything. It's not pornographic at all. I hate for others to look at these photos in that sort of way. I find pictures artistic. She finds it so empowering, in fact, that she now hopes to encourage other women to appreciate their bodies. Jasorka works in a casino but rock climbs in her spare time. I mainly go with my guy friends at the moment as I find women feel awkward in those
It literally reads like a Playboy centerfold thing. Like she enjoys backgammon and climbing trees, and it's not porn.
Does naked rock climbing help you appreciate your body?
Nobody appreciates my body. You forgot the last word of her statement. She said, I heard this. She said, don't let the fact that it's on RedTube tell you anything about
God bless RedTube.
Yeah, I know. Look, to each their own, but guess what? You're taking pictures, you're naked, you're publishing them. It's porn. That's what it's called.
Do you consider naked pictures porn? Just naked photos?
I consider that kind. Yeah, it's not. I have to see them first.
I would say naked pictures could be titillating and sexual, but pornographic. I think pornographic, like in the act of actual.
All right, so stuff. Would you call how Playboy has naked pictorials? where there's not really sexual activity going on, but they're posing naked. Is that considered a porn magazine?
I would say if stuff was leveled open and
if there was
spread,
all right,
but just a photo of a girl standing naked. No, I wouldn't say.
If there's a Picasso next to her, then I'd call it.
This is a very weird conversation that could get us in a lot of trouble. Let's move on. Groo, this is actually interesting.
Wait, what's her name, by the way?
Laura Jasorkin.
All right, let me just write that down.
Hold on, let me clear my search history real quick. Ixnay Avenue Marine. Groo, here's an interesting one. The last two are pretty interesting. One Wheel of Fortune contestant reached the cusp of victory on last Wednesday night's Wheel of Fortune episode.
I saw this.
But lost big on a minor technicality, and the fans are none too happy. Yahoo News reports that the game's crossword puzzle format tripped up competitor David Peterson, who delivered the right answer but wasn't eligible to win because of one extra word. When called upon to fill in the correct answer to the crossword, Peterson replied with the answer, sole, flounder, cod, and catfish, which is technically the correct answer, but host Pat Sajak was quick to call out Peterson for one small but significant mistake. No, sorry. That's not right, he said, turning to the next contestant who answered correctly with sole, flounder, cod, catfish. I thought that's what you said, his opponent told Peterson, but Sajak jumped in to explain that he didn't secure the win despite his nearly identical answer. David did that thing that's so easy to do. He added, and. The game show moment sparked a debate on social media where some users called out the rule as unfair while others defended the show. Wheel of Fortune's draconian rule where you lose if you add and to the crossword puzzle has to go, wrote one viewer. Another wrote, another contestant losing out on money because they said and on the crossword puzzle, and Wheel of Fortune just changed the dumbest rule ever and allow this. Still, defenders hit back at the criticism with one user tweeting, Pat says in the very beginning of the crossword puzzle, do not add any words, just read what is on the board. All right, so I'll go right to the end. A Wheel of Fortune spokesperson said contestants are thoroughly briefed and vetted prior to the show, and Pat often reminds them of this rule when solving a puzzle in this particular category. Groo, as you just mentioned earlier, your thoughts on this game show controversy?
Well, I did see it, and yes, before each time in this particular... Now, I don't usually watch Wheel of Fortune, but I watched this because I heard about it. Literally, before in this particular style of game, it's like a crossword puzzle thing. It's a new thing that I have because like I said, I don't really watch the show, so it's obviously a newer addition to the show. He literally says before every time, he says, "Don't say and." He said it. He said before the guy said it, he said, "Don't say and," and the guy said and. I think it's a great rule because if you're playing for that kind of money, it should be exact. Okay, you are coming on the show. You're obviously you've risen above many other people to get this spot on the show. Play the game right. That's the purpose of these things. You got to make it more difficult, and you got to test their wits in that way. I think it's a great rule.
And keep it with this.
Yes.
I absolutely agree with you on this
one.
Well,
I figured you would.
And I agree with you actually for the same reasons. The stakes, the money.
Damn right.
And if you're going to win $37,000 on a stupid crossword, you need to hit it the exact words.
Exactly. And the guy says it. He shouldn't even have to say it. But he says it anyway, and the guy still does it. And notice, did you see the thing happen?
I did not.
Okay, I saw it. The guy didn't protest. The guy knew he fucked up. He didn't protest. The other people did, but he didn't say a word. He's like, yeah.
Well, apparently the opponent actually even said to him, didn't you just say it? And Pat jumped in and said, well, he added the word and that's...
Right, but you would think that if the guy was pissed off, he would have said something first. He didn't say a word. He knew he did it. So, yeah, we're in agreement on that one.
Andrew, do you know who Louis Freeze is?
It's Freeze spelled Freese or
yes.
Z-E?
S-E.
No, I know a couple guys with that last name, but not a Lewis.
Okay. Lewis is breaking boundaries as the first male to become a Sports Illustrated Swim Search finalist.
Swim Search or swimsuit?
Swimsuit, Swim Search, it's all the same, finalist. Writing in his application that he believes the Fame magazine has the power to change minds and lives. I want to work with Sports Illustrated so we could stop those who judge, criticize, or hate on those who are choosing to be themselves. No longer should a man or woman feel the need to fit in certain gender standards. No longer should stereotypes exist for sexual orientation. No longer should people hide their authentic character. This marks the Minnesota native's second time applying to the Swim Search. 15 finalists were chosen from the annual open casting call for 2021, 6 of whom have ended up in the upcoming swimsuit issue. Louis Freeze is the first male Sports Illustrated Swim Search finalist. In an interview with People, he pointed out, swimwear is one of the most binary forms of clothing, adding, I think it's ironic for me to be doing a swimsuit competition when swimsuits have been my downfall of my confidence in the past. I realize my message is so much more about gender variety and how every person's gender presents itself differently. Freeze hopes to have his own business promoting or creating gender-neutral products and doing legislative work centering on trans, queer, and non-binary reform. But right now, Groo, he has his sights set on making the coveted pages of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Groo, what is going on here?
Well, it sounds like somebody is trying to be a trailblazer, and that's all he seems to want to be. Otherwise, he would just do it and shut up. Like, try out. If you make it, great. If you don't, try again next year. But he's making a thing out of it, which means that he is trying to let outside forces decide whether he's going to be a finalist or not. I don't understand. Look, you got to be careful here because
you do.
Because what I don't understand is this. I'm all for if you identify with this or identify with that, whatever you want, whatever is good for you is that belongs to you, and God bless you. What I don't understand is why is there shame in gender separation? Meaning, like, why does it have to be everybody's eligible for everything? Like, there's a men's division, a women's division. There's best actress, there's best actor. There's baseball, there's softball. There's, like, what's wrong with that? I mean, there's different. Wait. I just want to get this out. There's men, there's women, there's Jews, there's Catholics, there's black, there's white, there's, that's one of the beautiful things about everybody is that everybody's different. Why? I don't know. This is. It's sad that this whole thing is such an issue because it doesn't have to be. I think they're making it an issue just to make it, just for the sake of making it an issue. I do not think that this guy actually gives a shit about this issue. I think he wants to be the guy, or the person, and he wants to break the barrier, and that cheapens the move. To me, what would be even more powerful is if he didn't say a word and actually became a finalist without making it a news story. Now Sports Illustrated has to pick him because it's become a thing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I just thought we'd have a laugh about a guy trying out for a. Do you foresee a day where the Miss USA pageant will have guys in it?
No, because I don't think. Because I think people will finally come to understand that there's nothing wrong with having certain things that are meant for women, having certain things that are meant for men, having certain things that are meant for children, having certain things that are meant for adults. It's just there's nothing wrong with that. All of a sudden, there's something wrong with having, I don't know. It's a very controversial thing, so you got to be careful with what you say. But There's nothing wrong with any of this. And he's and with what you say in your notes there, he's acting like there is something wrong. He's creating a problem where there isn't one. Go and try out, and if you don't win, somebody else will. Who are you to say that you're more deserving than whoever they do choose? And who are you to say that they didn't choose you because you're a man? You can't say that because it's just not. It just doesn't work this way.
Well, actually, my body now at 50 is so soft and doughy that I'm actually thinking.
Good
about
for you, but you're not. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to. I know that, but let's say, let's say you wanted to. You're not going to go on TV or on the media or whatever and make a whole thing about it.
How do you know?
Because you wouldn't do that. Because you don't do things because for the glory or for the thing. You do things because you mean it, and. This guy to me it screams fake. It screams like I want to be the face to this new idea.
Well, I guess we'll have to find out when the next Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue comes out, and we'll see if Lewis.
It's a long time from now.
So
the other one came out like.
Oh, I didn't know you were
so
like
up. 6 weeks ago. Hell yeah!
So
are you kidding me?
The Sports Illustrated.
I always get the Sports Illustrated swimsuit.
Fantastic, Groo. Let us scale back to our last podcast. It was Family Guy top 5 as we presented our top 5 episodes of the stellar classic cartoon Family Guy. Not much to review here, Groo, as we gave our thoughts on those selected episodes and why we loved them so much. Groo went with the following: number 5, It's a Trap. Number 4, Road to the Multiverse. Number 3, I Dream of Jesus. Number 2, PTV. Number 1, Wasted Talent. Myself, Moody, went with number 5, Family Goy. Number 4, Steroids. Number 3, Family Gay. Number 2, Brian Does Hollywood. Number 1, McStroke. Any thoughts, Andy, off on Family Guy? The top 5?
Yeah, well, we put up a poll on Instagram, and you won. You won. You got, I think, 67%. I got 33%. You had 2 people. Two people who liked yours. I think you were one of them. You were one of them, and Marie was the other.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, she was.
Oh, I didn't even know.
I don't even know who voted for me. Somebody did. I think I don't even remember. So you won that one. I did get somebody did a buddy of mine, Mikey Port. He told me that he heard it and he agreed with my assessment on Road to the Multiverse. He that's one of his favorite episodes, and that is all the feedback we got on Family Guy. But I rewatched Brian Does Hollywood.
It's great, right? Come on.
It's close. No, it's close to cracking my top 5. Like if It's a Trap didn't have that one joke, I would probably put The Thin White Line first. I find that a little bit funnier, but that two-parter is just an absolute fucking riot.
Yeah.
And like I said, if it wasn't for that one joke and It's a Trap, one of those 2 episodes would probably be in that slot.
The one line that won it for me, because The Thin White Line is very funny. That has Brian in the bathroom high on cocaine.
Yeah.
With like Smurfy the drug the drug dog is in there and then the other one I think that's the episode where Brian goes to rehab and Peter goes to visit him.
And he
says,
stays.
What's your name? And he goes, P. and he sees like a griffin, Griff.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's trying to think of a fake name.
And then Peter wants to stay there.
Yeah, but
it's like a country club.
Yeah, but what won me over on Brian Does Hollywood is when they walk on the porn set and the guy yells out, I need a fluffer over here. Brian's got a windsock thing going, and that was just a great line. So
yeah.
Well, Groo, cue it up, Groo. Listeners did chime in with some comments, all of which were, no, that wasn't even on the Bros. We just got one quick comment, so let's just get to it, Groo. Let's go to it. It's time for viewer mail.
Letters, we got your letters. We got your letters every day. Mailman Ding Dong, give me a letter today.
That thing's going to last longer than the viewer mail.
Viewer mail is sponsored by New You Life Center. Phoenix Entrepreneur Magazine named them in the top 15 med spas to watch in 2021. Life-changing solutions tailored to your goals. Check them out at www.newyoulifecenters.com or give them a call at 602-274-0068. Tell them Moody and Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. Thank you to New You Life Center. Courtesy of our Facebook fan page, you can check out Nothing Worthwhile on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Nothing Worthwhile 1985. Ironically enough, at WrestleMania weekend, we got wrestling-related email. Just one related wrestling comment as to why the Nothing Worthwhile guys are down on wrestlers that go to AEW. Isn't it good for the biz to have another promotion trying to compete? Miss the old days of all the regional promotions. I'll throw it to my partner first. Andrew, thoughts on WWE guys leaving for AEW and competition in the professional wrestling industry?
Well, first I'll respond to what our listener said. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a rival promotion. I think it's great. What we were talking about was it's sometimes disappointing to see, because we're WWE guys, and it's sometimes disappointing to see some of our favorite WWE guys go to a promotion that we don't really watch. Look, we're WWE guys.
Have you seen anything by AEW?
Not one thing.
Okay.
And but here's the thing. Okay, let's go back quickly. I'm not going to be long-winded about this, but let's go back quickly to when it was WWF versus WCW. Okay, it was basically Monday night. All right, there were 2 hours of each, and that was the week of wrestling unless there was a pay-per-view. All right, then it as it grew in major popularity, then you had like
Thunder
Sunday
and SmackDown.
SmackDown. Then they answered
even WCW added Thunder.
Well, yeah, that was their answer to SmackDown. Then they had Sunday Night Heat. The WWF had Sunday Night Heat. Yeah. I think WCW still had WCW Saturday Night. Did they? They did. They did for a while. But in any case, when there became too much wrestling on TV, that's when the competition started to wane a little bit. And I think I don't have time to, because now I even missed NXT. That's another 2 hours of per week. So if we're WWE guys, where are we going to get the time to watch even more of another promotion? So we were not talking about the negative aspect of competition. Competition will always bring out the best in everybody. But we were talking about Christian, who has always been a WWE guy, at least since we've been watching him, and he's been one of our favorites. We met him a couple of years ago at WrestleCon. It was a great experience. So to see him go to AEW, where we will not see him because we really don't watch, it's a little disappointing. It's not life-changing, but it's a little disappointing. So I think Craig kind of misunderstood. We're just a little bummed when it's more like that they felt they had to go, that they felt their career in WWE was done. That's what's disappointing, because we always feel like a guy like Christian definitely could have one more great run in him in the WWE. So that's disappointing. But I have no problem with another promotion going on. I think that's what made wrestling give its rebirth in the mid to late 90s. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, we like to see our guys or our people on our shows.
Well, first of all, we You don't speak for me, white man.
I don't?
Okay, so
You don't agree with what I said?
I think you're factually incorrect about a couple of things. Number one, Christian's not been a lifelong WWE guy.
No, but since wait.
Excuse me,
No,
I didn't
no.
interrupt you.
Hold on, I'm just gonna let me. Okay. he's chugging water like it's vodka. No, I said I amended that and I said since we have been watching him, since we've been familiar. Did you know Christian Cage back before he became part of the Brood? I didn't. Did you?
No. But you see, this is where you're wrong.
What?
He had a WWE run.
Yeah.
He left.
Oh, then
to
TNA, yes.
Came
Okay.
back.
Okay, you're right about that. Okay, I apologize. You're right about that. I did not, but I never saw that either. And it's interesting to note that I believe during that time, or at least during another time, another big star from WWE and WCW was in TNA, and that was Hulk Hogan. And you know that he's my favorite of all time.
We're not talking about Hulk
but no.
Hogan.
But what I'm saying is, I'm trying to prove the point to in response to this mail that it's not about the fact that there's another promotion. It's just we are WWE guys. So even when my favorite guy Hulk Hogan was in TNA, I didn't watch. I never watched TNA. So it's all about just we want to see our favorite people on our shows. I think that's what what we were trying to say.
First of all, let's go back to it because you put a response about it was like watching Roddy Piper on WCW. Now, it's not an apt comparison because that was 20 years ago, and my feelings about wrestling were very different.
Okay,
I was just bummed out because it would have been nice to have Christian to have that final run at 46, 47, in whatever years he's going to put in AEW. I don't foresee him coming back and having perhaps that final run in WWE. And from what I read, the creative was murky on Christian at best. So I think he felt like I can go to this rival promotion and get some headline matches. They threw him pretty much, from what I read, into the main event mix over at AEW right away with Kenny Omega, who I guess is one of their big guys or the champ over there. So he'll get it looks like a pretty solid, consistent run over there. I was bummed. Now, when you talked about Roddy Piper and Stake in the Heart, now back in that day, I mean, if Stone Cold or if a strong WWF guy went to WCW, I was like, oh, that really hurt. Now, I'm just like bummed. I was kind of being tongue in cheek, being like, Christian, I hate you because you left to AEW. I don't have those feelings really anymore. Back when I was younger, I mean, the whole fun and the whole emotionality of wrestling was all the backstage stuff and the guys coming and going to the different...
And the surprises.
The different federations. I mean, one night he's on this show, he's on that show. So, I wish Christian well, and I think competition is... but I was slightly bummed.
Yeah, and you actually brought up a good point. Because back then, and you're right, because it is very different now. Back then, when a guy like Roddy Piper or Savage or these guys jumped ship, they were going to the true rival because WCW was winning. They were beating the WWF at the time. So it was a real knockout, bloody battle. This is not a battle. I don't view AEW as a true rival, at least not yet. I view them as kind of an alternative. They're not. I don't consider them to be a threat to the WWE. It's like WCW was before the Nitro days, before the
Do you give them any credit for the most part beating NXT straight up on Wednesday nights?
You have to give them credit for that, but again, like I told you before, it's like giving the Yankees credit for beating their farm team. Like you expect that because you have quasi headliners in AEW, and you've got basically the WWE. As good as it is, NXT is still considered kind of the secondary promotion on the WWE banner. So I don't think it should be. if AEW was a major contender, the gap would be much wider than 200,000 viewers. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you said they beat them like 800,000 or 600,000.
So apparently NXT is now moving to Tuesday nights.
Mm-hmm.
From what I read, there was some. I don't know what happened initially. It was touted as because USA Network was getting the NHL, that this was a move necessitated by the NHL taking Wednesday nights. Now I'm reading that may not be the case. Supposedly there was comments that AAA said backstage that NXT was bullied, trying to position NXT as sort of the underdog. Triple H said those comments were not true. But NXT is now moving to Tuesday nights, so there's no more Wednesday head-to-head competition. Mostly, if you listen to Busted Open, and most of the websites are saying that's probably best for both shows, that they'll be able to grow their audience with no wrestling competition on that night. I don't really have any thoughts either way. I would have liked NXT as a WWE guy to. And they did beat them, and they beat them on the last night pretty soundly. That was night one of, I guess, TakeOver.
NXT beat AEW.
Yeah, on the last night.
That's my point. If AEW is supposed to be a major promotion with major stars, they should be blowing NXT out of the water. And they're not.
Yeah, but
so how does that?
WWE is, still has that WWE machine behind some of these. And they have a sprinkle of somewhat named veterans with youngsters. NXT is not a pure developmental league anymore.
Okay, but AEW is, I guess NXT is too, but a lot of AEW is available on network television.
Yeah, I think it's TABS or TNT.
TBS, or one of the two, just like WCW was. It's just as accessible as NXT, and like I said, it just shouldn't be that close. If they're going to pull away, if they're going to look, the Big Show is a future Hall of Famer. The Christian is a future Hall of Famer. Moxley / Ambrose is definitely a future Hall of Famer in the WWE Hall of Fame. So to have these stars there and to still have to run neck and neck with the minor league WWE promotion. They need to be doing better.
Well, I don't think calling it minor league is an apt. Okay, but let me ask you this: Big Show, Christian have been two big recent signings.
Mm-hmm.
Does it move the meter for you at all?
No.
Does that make you go, "I want to see these guys in AEW" at all?
Nope.
No, me neither.
Not at all.
Let's wrap it up on this note.
Okay.
After night one of.
However, wait. I'm going to add one thing though.
Oh, why do you do this to me when I try to transition? Go ahead.
What do you mean?
Go ahead. I'm trying to run a professional broadcast.
Yeah, but if we have thoughts, we want to express them.
No, I want to be professional.
Here's one booking I might enjoy seeing over in AEW.
Go ahead.
If they have a real cool knockout, drag-out feud with Christian and Moxley, that they could put on some good matches, I think.
Enough that you might go, oh my God, Wednesday night I'm going to put on TBS.
Just I wouldn't watch the show. I'd want to see that match.
Okay.
Yeah, but that would be it. Because I looked at their roster. I don't even know most of the guys.
Night one on Peacock. After night one or night two, Broken Skull Session.
Yes.
Stone Cold Steve Austin with AEW star Chris Jericho of ECW, WCW, and WWE fame. Chris Jericho is certainly a surefire first ballot WWE Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty revolutionary. You've never had a star on another company show up on any kind of WWE programming unfettered. It's an documentary-style interview show. Expectations for AEW's Chris Jericho on WWE's Broken Skull Sessions.
Well, I don't think there's going to be much promoting of AEW because I think the way that it seems like it was set up, Chris Jericho contacted Stone Cold. He was complimenting him on his last broadcast, and he said, "I'd love to come on, just talk wrestling." And I think that's what it's going to be. They're going to be telling stories about their past, about their careers. I don't think it's going to be a pissing contest between WWE and AEW. I don't think they're going to be really promoting either company. I think the closest they'll get is, and I hope that they discuss it. I hope Steve Austin asks him why he felt he had to leave, why it was his time to go, how he feels in AEW. Maybe ask his opinion about how things are over there. But I think that's as far as they'll go. I don't think it'll be a big sparring session between the two companies, and it shouldn't be. They should be just two old pros talking wrestling, and I'm looking forward to it. And it is unprecedented, and it is pretty cool that they're doing it.
I agree. I pretty much agree with you in thought. I think, ultimately, though, the WWE is putting him on to promote still WWE. So I think the interview will be WWE centric. I'm sure they'll touch upon other aspects of his career, like perhaps, I don't think they'll touch much about ECW, but the WCW.
He never went to TNA?
No.
Oh, okay.
And, I agree. I think really the big bugaboo in the room will be, tell us, Chris, why you left. That'll be interesting to see if they actually place that on WWE programming. And I think you'll hear the words AEW, and I think Chris will sort of glance over and maybe summarize a little bit, but I think still the basis of the interview will be wrestling-centric, but obviously focusing on his time in WWE.
Yeah, and I don't think the WWE has anything to lose here. I don't think either promotion has anything to lose here.
I don't see a scenario where Vince McMahon, I know what I've heard, I know what I've read, that Stone Cold simply said to Vince on a text message, "Can I have Jericho on?" And Vince said, "Yeah, let's do business." I don't see a scenario, though, where Chris Jericho is going to come on to WWE programming and bash the WWE, bash Vince, or put his company well over. I'm not going to say he's not going to say something positive about AEW, but I just don't see it. It doesn't behoove
anybody.
It doesn't behoove Vince to allow that. Even,
right.
I just don't see that scenario. I think it's going to be cool, a little détente, and I don't think you're going to see. I know you mentioned, hey, I'd love for AEW and WWE to work together. I don't think you're going to see that anytime soon. You have the McMahon family and the Khan family, $1 billion, proud families. I don't think you're going to see that anytime soon. Maybe sometime down the road, perhaps, but not now.
And it's already been taped, so they have editing power. They can edit stuff out that they don't feel comfortable putting on there, I'm sure. But I think at the very least it'll be very entertaining to see. What was the extent? How far did CM Punk go when they put him on the Fox?
Well, interesting
show?
question, because CM Punk, when I saw him on Colin Cowherd's Fox Sports Radio's interview that has a TV simulcast, and Colin said, "Oh, you're on WWE programming," and Punk was quick to always say, "No, I'm on Fox Sports programming." So he did not get into he didn't talk about it all on the actual whatever that show. I forget the name of the show was. That sort of WWE backstage interview wrap up segment. Studio and analysis.
Yeah.
He never talked about his own career. He only gave feedback about what was happening on current WWE television. Now on like Colin Cowherd, he talked a little bit about it, but he was straight to the point, but it was a little muted. I mean, it wasn't like the shoot interview he did 5 years earlier where he just completely bashed everybody.
Yeah, well, I think Jericho left under much more, I'm not going to say amicable because I know he wasn't happy, but it wasn't like Punk just upping and leaving.
Oh, no. I completely agree with you. And as a matter of fact, this could be the first crack in the door for a potential Jericho return.
Yeah, and I don't think Jericho has any desire to bash the WWE. That serves nobody.
He's been on shoot interviews. I wouldn't call it a bashing, but he certainly has not been. Well, kind's not the word because it's his perception. So his perception was the WWE thought his better days were done.
That's not bashing. That's telling the truth. That's bashing would be, I think their programming sucks. I think it's sexist. I think it's racist.
No, but
that's
you have to
bashing.
remember, he's very big on social media, very big on Twitter, and so every time AEW won, and he nicknamed himself Demo God because the AEW always got the 18-49 demo, even if NXT won the night. So, again, with these stupid rating breakdowns, he called himself the Demo God. So he's definitely been pointed since he's gone to AEW. He likes to push the WWE's nose in the dirt when they've been unsuccessul.
But hasn't he done that before when he's left? Because he's had periods of time where he's
had periods of inactivity.
Where he was literally gone from the company, touring with Fozzy or whatever. And hasn't he been vocal, sort of anti-WWE in the past a little bit?
A little bit of a mouth.
Yeah. So this isn't that much different, and I think the fact that Vince is having this go, especially right after their biggest night of the year, I think it says a lot about the mutual respect between people who are lifers in the business, which Chris Jericho is, which Vince McMahon is.
All right, so long story short, we just took 20 minutes. We're both looking forward to the interview.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the question was a yes or no question?
No, it wasn't, but no. I think it's a nice bit of programming after night one of WrestleMania.
Hell yeah. Is it night one or night two?
I could be wrong. I thought it was night one, but I could be wrong.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Night two is Bill Goldberg at 55.
Oh, God.
No, I'm joking.
No, I know, but you're reminding me.
It's Passover with Bill Goldberg. I'm gonna load up on this lox. It's lean protein, brother.
Bill Goldberg is Elijah.
Are we reviewing Godzilla vs. Kong?
Yes,
right.
We talked about it.
All right,
you made me watch it. So
today's Nothing Worthwhile podcast. It's the Nothing Worthwhile movie review as we give our dumb thoughts on Godzilla vs. Kong. Is sponsored again by New You Life Center. Phoenix Entrepreneur Magazine named him in the top 15 med spas to watch in 2021. No goal is too big, like Godzilla or Kong. No journey is too far. Check them out at www.newyoulifecenters.com or give them a call at 602-274-0068. Thank you to New You Life Center. I've asked this of you before. You're a huge movie fan, and my voice is getting a little sparse. We've been verbally sparring for 2+ hours now. So, as I usually say, under 500 words or less. For a huge movie fan, and for so many conversations we've talked about movies, you don't talk a lot about monster movies. So, Andrew Gruthius, give us some thoughts on monster movies.
They're not. It's not a genre that I'm really interested in. Not that I dislike it. It's just not that I. It's not. I just don't go out of my way to watch them. But I did watch Godzilla vs. Kong, and I have seen a couple of the. I have seen a couple of the ones along the way. I saw the 1998 Godzilla. I saw that in the theater. I saw the Peter Jackson King Kong in the theater, and some of them are good movies, but the genre itself is not something that I particularly enjoy. That I would never buy the movie. It just doesn't. They don't do it for me. That doesn't mean they're not good movies. It means it just doesn't appeal to me.
All right, let's do it courtesy of Wikipedia. Let me give you a quick quick summary of the movie. 5 years after Godzilla defeats King Ghidorah, King Kong is monitored by Monarch. We know that's the governmental agency who is assigned to watching these kaiju monsters who now live on Earth. We know that Kong lives on Skull Island, which now is monitored with a giant dome. So Kong is sort of contained in Skull Island. He's visited by Gia, who is a native to Skull Island, and she's a Kong expert. She does sign language with King Kong, and she is the adopted daughter of Eileen, who's played by, and I just forgot her, Rebecca Hall. Bernie Hayes plays an employee of Apex Cybernetics. We love this cybernetics.
Yeah.
And he hosts a Titan conspiracy podcast. And there he hooks up with Madison Russell from the first movie, played by Millie Bobby Brown. And they investigate Godzilla's attacks. Apex CEO Walter Simmons recruits Nathan Lind, played by Alexander Skarsgård, who is a Hollow Earth theorist. You may remember that in Godzilla King of the Monsters, they have theorized that Hollow Earth is the way that the monsters are able to travel all over the Earth so quickly that there's an underground Earth that they travel through. And they want him to visit Hollow Earth, but they have not been able to get there due to a strong reverse gravitational effect. But this guy Walter Simmons says, I have a new spaceship called a Heave that's able to withstand this pressure exerted by the gravity field. So, of course, the movie is sort of broken down by battles. And they get Kong restrained on a naval boat, and then of course Godzilla, sensing Kong is afoot, attacks the naval boat with Kong restricted. And of course, there's a cool scene where Alexander Skarsgård, the boat is overturned, and he swims and he's able to release Kong's chains, and then Kong and Godzilla have a first battle in which Godzilla is the winner. They sort of portray Godzilla as the king of the water. He comes out of the water, and Kong literally plays dead at the end of the first fight. Godzilla moves on, and then Kong throws up water, and they sedate Kong, and they bring him to Antarctica, sort of an homage to the Godzilla vs. Kong 1962 movie, where they carry Kong with, I think it was balloons, but in this one they have him carried by helicopters who release him into the Antarctic. And there, Kong is going to... The girl sign languages and tells him to go home, which is the path to the Hollow Earth. So Kong runs through the Antarctic through this little hole in the side of a mountain and runs through Hollow Earth. They follow him in these spaceships. There's sort of an homage to 2001 as they go through this gravitational field, and they end up in Hollow Earth. And there, Kong finds his ancestors' throne, and he sits on the throne, and he has an axe that has a Godzilla like skull plate on it. And then Godzilla, sensing that Kong is somewhere near, attacks Tokyo, shoots fire into Hollow Earth, and Kong jumps up. And then we have the final huge fight against Godzilla vs. Kong in Hong Kong. And all the while, a Mecha Godzilla, which has been created by this evil company, they have it hooked up to Ghidorah's skull. So they're using the DNA from this evil monster to power. It's sort of a rip on. Have you seen Pacific Rim?
Yes.
Okay, with that so they have him mind meld with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking that. Yeah.
Okay.
I was actually
yeah.
thinking
Okay.
that. I was.
Gru's like, I'm so bored with this. Please.
No.
So basically, Kong and Godzilla fight in Tokyo, and it's pretty massive even on a regular screen. From what I read, it would have been really amazing to see it like on IMAX. They have this they do first person shots. They're fighting everywhere, and of course, Godzilla in a sense defeats Kong. He puts his foot on him and bears down, and Kong kind of just gives up, and Godzilla looks and walks away, and then Mecha Godzilla comes and attacks Tokyo, and of course, the little girl with the sign language tells Kong, please, you have to help Godzilla, as Mecha Godzilla is whipping Godzilla's ass all over Tokyo. And of course, Kong decides to help Godzilla. He's got that shield, that axe, and the final scene, Godzilla shoots his fire breath into the axe, powers it up, and Kong slashes Mecha Godzilla into a million pieces. And then they have another stare down, Godzilla and Kong, and Godzilla walks away and enters the water. And the movie ends with Kong being relocated to his home in Hollow Earth. Monarch has a laboratory now on Hollow Earth, and Godzilla is sign languaging home, and he seems to be very, very happy. So now these two apex predators, it looks like that Kong can control Hollow Earth, while Godzilla now can control the actual Earth. So, what I liked about this film, Andrew, it's Kong's film all the way. It really humanizes King Kong. You see him at the beginning. He's sleeping on Skull Island. He wakes up. He scratches his butt. He takes a shower in a waterfall. There's a lot of exposition with King Kong. The fight scenes are epic. I even enjoyed the Hollow Earth storyline. What I disliked, Millie Bobby Brown, completely, her storyline was completely superfluous. It was very dumb. I liked the podcaster conspiracy deal, but adding the other two kids was pointless. The Apex Evil Company storyline was lifted from Wayland Lutani and Cyberdyne and Skynet.
RoboCop.
It's again, and of course the CEO, he's like, I'm going to take over the world. And of course he looks at Mechagodzilla, then
Iron Man. I mean, it's in every...
Mechagodzilla kills him. He's like, oh, shit. And then as he's...
I've created a monster.
Yes, and... there's no Godzilla exposition. He's just like any other bad guy in a way that Kong fights. There's really a big focus on Kong than Godzilla. So the king of the monsters, this big character, is somewhat limited in this movie. And then the other thing I thought was they had a tagline that one will fall. So going into this movie, I really thought like literally one of them was going to die. And so I was kind of disappointed. They never... Godzilla does win, but it's like...
Well, Mecha died.
Yeah, but I know. But you're looking between Godzilla and Kong. They
right.
These two great. They build up the story that they've been rivals for generations. That their ancestors fought on Earth. Yeah. And then
So it was a schmaz ending.
He puts his foot on him and he leaves. But you really thought I really thought somebody was going to get killed, and that they might discontinue one of the characters. Mechagodzilla was kind of a rip on Pacific Rim. They disrespected the skull crawler from Kong, but here's what I would say to you. I've come to one conclusion, Andrew.
What's that, Evan?
Crossover movies never seem to reach their full potential. Freddy versus Jason, Alien versus Predator. I'll give Godzilla out of Kong 2.25 stars out of 5. When I left, I said to myself, these crossover movies, the fans are literally dying. You're having these iconic characters finally share the same cinematic universe. And there may be other crossovers. I thought of just Freddy vs. Jason and Alien vs. Predator. And I remember leaving both disappointed to bitterly disappointed. Mm-hmm. And I was so excited as a movie geek for these movies. I mean, I was out of my mind for Alien Predator. And I left and I was like, it's good. And that's all it was.
I liked the second one.
Alien vs.
Requiem.
It was terrible.
I liked it better than the first
one.
Oh,
no. How dare you? No,
really?
No. The Alien vs. Requiem was terrible. It was
it
was dimly lit. It was
kind of what I liked about it.
No, you couldn't see any. No, it was terrible.
Did you see it in 3D?
I saw it on the theater, both of them.
In 3D?
No, I didn't see it in 3D.
All right, then no, because I didn't either. And usually the 3D in those kind of movies would definitely make it darker. I just felt
like, and maybe there's other crossover movies that I'm missing, but I just feel like
you're right. You're right about most. I actually am giving this movie 3 stars because I liked it. The only thing that I didn't like, I don't like it when the stuff gets confusing. So it got confusing to me with all the companies and all the humans confused me. I wanted to see the monsters go at it. Every time the monsters were on screen, it was great.
Yeah, but the human characters are kind of throwaway for the most part.
Yeah, but then throw them away. We don't need them. This movie could have done without it. It would have been so interesting. Imagine the innovative movie making if they literally got rid of all the humans and just focused on these 2 monsters. Like it could. There is a script out there that could do that.
But you know that. Okay, but you know that the humans always provide exposition. Oh, Godzilla's traveling to the Antarctica.
Well, that's why you got to have a good filmmaker do it the right way. You put a Spielberg on this, and he'll find a way to tell the story through these 2 monsters. That's what he's good at.
Well,
I don't know who directed it.
It's Adam Wingard, and he did Monsters, which is on Netflix, and he's done 1 or 2 other ones. What I liked initially, the movie runtime was like only an hour 40, where like King of the Monsters was like 220. So I was like, oh, this is good.
Yeah, these are usually over stuffed.
Well, yes, but this one, they still took about 40 minutes before you saw your first battle, which I
They
kind of
always do that. They did that in Godzilla too, and
But the exposition, there was just nothing. It was Kong's movie all the way,
Right.
and so I felt like there was some, like, why is Godzilla, Godzilla, who has been positioned as a friendly monster, so to speak, in the first two, or a protector of humans, now he's destroying cities, and we don't know why.
Well, actually, it's funny you say that because Godzilla, with the exception of the two movies that you just mentioned, he's always been a predator. He's always destroyed. Look at those old Tokyo. He's always destroying. Kong has always been the humanized one, like the one with the feelings, the one with there's more drama there, and that's why I liked that this one kind of focused more on Kong. I was afraid,
it was.
Yeah, I was afraid that they were just going to make it just a slugfest because they remembered that Kong is not a predator. He's and Godzilla is, and that's kind of what I liked about it.
If you go back though to Godzilla's history, he's had different periods with the
That's
Toho
true.
movies.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
He's been evil, then friendly, and evil
Yeah,
again.
I'm basically going off the Godzilla, the bad one, the really bad one from 1998.
Well, that one was just campy.
Yeah.
And I mean, they made him look like a Jurassic Park
Yeah,
lizard.
that's basically what it was. But
what if I told you I didn't hate that as much as everyone else did?
I didn't hate it either. It just I look. We've spoken about this. There are movies we know are bad that we still like, and that's one of them.
Okay.
It's not a good movie, but it's still enjoyable in some way. And I did, and I didn't hate it. Saw it in the theater, and it was kind of fun. But I did. This one was better than I thought it would be. And
do you agree with my point about crossover movies?
Yes. The worst offender of this is definitely Batman versus Superman, if only for the fact.
I wasn't thinking about that.
If only for the fact that there's no reason for that movie to exist because all Superman has to do is look at Batman and remember that Batman is human, and the fight's over and Batman's dead and roll credits. So the whole movie makes no sense. Don't everyone says, kryptonite. Shut up. You got to work to get kryptonite, but. No, that was, and even though that could have been interesting, they just filled it up with just set piece after set piece. They didn't care about the humanity of it, like whatever, like what it would do to the world, like nobody else existed. Only these two, like this. So that's been the worst offender. But there was one on your list that I really did enjoy.
Freddy vs. Jason?
Yeah, I did. I really liked it. I remember seeing it in the theater, and I said, look, it's not scary. I don't think it was meant to be. But it was funny. It was enjoyable. It was fun.
I would say it's the best out of the ones I mentioned.
Yeah. And, Alien versus Predator, there's no...
Come
There's
on.
No.
There was such hype.
Right.
You're getting the two most
I agree.
sci-fi iconic.
I agree, but think about it. What are the stakes? There's no. It's like bad guy versus bad guy. You want them both to die.
Well, if you're referencing Alien vs. Predator, the first bit of bad news was they made it PG-13.
Oh yeah. Whoa, God. And that's only that shit is only getting worse. I think maybe with franchise movies that are
like Godzilla vs. Kong was PG-13, but it's a monster kaiju.
Yeah, but Kong is but those movies
Predator,
have always been
Alien and Predator were Stone Cold Killer, bloody.
Well, they're both franchises are R-rated franchises, so they bring them together and they kitty it up.
So that you're a movie guy, what does that take when you get let's say a Warner Brothers property and you're trying to team it up with, let's say, a Legendary? Is that a lot of attorneys to try to work out some?
Yeah,
kind of deal?
definitely, but it's not as uncommon as it used to be because as you see now, whenever you start a movie, it used to be just you'd see Paramount, Star Trek 2. 20th Century Fox, Star Wars. Now, it's 20th Century Fox comes on, then Paramount, then New Line. It's 5, 6 different companies because it's all about sharing the production budget, because budgets are so overblown now. Like Godzilla vs. Kong must have cost at least $220 million.
No, I'll tell you what. From what I read, their budget was even less than Godzilla King of the Monsters, because Godzilla.
How much?
I want to say it was well below 200. I don't know why I'm thinking 140 was the budget.
Okay, but that's still a lot for one company to put on really an untested. Like if this movie, like there's not a, I don't. You could say there's a built-in audience for Godzilla vs. Kong, but they're two shaky franchises. You know.
Well, Godzilla King of the Monsters, from what I read, made a ton, but still underperformed. I guess the expectations were really high. Now, from what I read for Godzilla vs. Kong, the numbers were very strong given the expectation of post-pandemic, meaning
right.
I think it made, let's say, 26 million opening, where, you know, given the COVID and, you know, certain number of theaters closed, the perception from the articles I read on social media were they were very pleased with the overall numbers there, and then obviously the number of downloads with HBO Max.
Well, yeah, okay, so that makes sense. But to answer your question, it's basically sharing the, like, one company will be in charge of the production budget, the other will be in charge of distribution and promotion, or Paramount will be in charge of overseas, and 20th Century Fox will be in charge of domestic. Like they'll each take a portion of the cost and, you know, and share and split and share the profits depending on how much they each put in. That's pretty much how it works. But just like any other business deal, obviously there's an avalanche of attorneys and, you know, contracts and all that kind of stuff. But it's pretty common nowadays. If you look at any movie, you rarely see just one production company logo at the beginning anymore.
Does Andrew Gruthius have a dream crossover movie matchup he'd like to see? Two characters or two monster, alien, anything you'd love to see?
That's a tough one, because anything I say because it would cheapen both of them. Like the first one that jumps into mind when you say that is Rambo Terminator, but there's no comparison because the Terminator is a machine and Rambo is a human.
Well, wasn't there a Rambo versus aliens in a jungle kind of script written?
Yes, that was supposed to be Rambo 5, and they scrapped that, thankfully.
But isn't Stallone possibly interested in making that, but not as a Rambo?
That would be fine. But if you're putting a Vietnam veteran against an alien, that doesn't really fly. But if you had, you know what? Would you consider the movie Grudge Match a crossover in any way?
Not
it was
really.
Like Rocky versus Raging Bull in a way. They didn't play it that way.
Yeah, it's not established.
So I'm
characters.
trying to think of one.
I just thought that off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one, and like one that might actually work. That you could get a good story from. I'll have to get back to you on that. We're doing another one tomorrow. Let's see if I could come up with a good one that I think might actually work. Because right now I can't think of any, because none of them really make any sense. Even Godzilla vs. Kong doesn't make sense, but it's still fun to watch. But I would want go ahead.
Well, the thing was they did do a good job building up to it, and then I guess the payoff. It wasn't terrible. It was a little weak to me, and then all of the sort of backstory, all the other monsters, no mention. There was thought that we get other, that you spent time building up Mothra, Rodan. They just went a certain way, and I saw some people wrote on Facebook, that sucked. Christina V wrote on Facebook, I hate it sucked. I didn't think it sucked,
Me
but
neither.
I was a little bit disappointed. I really wanted a definitive winner. Perhaps one monster slay the other.
I liked it better than you did.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
one that jumps into mind that might work, but it's not one. Well, I probably would want to see it. RoboCop Terminator might work, but then it would have to be original Terminator. Then RoboCop would be the good guy in Terminator. You got to have good and bad,
right?
You have to have faces versus heels. Maybe that's kind of what was missing from Godzilla versus Kong. It really.
Well, Kong was the face. Was the clear face.
but they
Godzilla
still kind of came together.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so like that was a little that was.
Yeah, the little girl says, she signs to him and says, "No, that's your enemy," and points to Mechagodzilla and goes, he's not your enemy. And then of course Kong gets up and in typical. He had dislocated his shoulder, so he smashes his shoulder against the building. Pops it in, and he goes. Rawr.
But they've been doing these forever. I mean, they did Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. They've been doing these kinds of things forever.
Yeah, were those anything good? I don't know.
No, I mean they were cheap, and they were, there's definitely one out there that would work, and it might. It doesn't have to. That doesn't mean it has to be a big action thing. Like even if it's like taking, does it have to be verse or can it just be team up?
It could be anything really. I mean, I do agree with you. I think the Freddy vs. Jason was the best of a somewhat weak bunch.
Yeah, let's say you had to take Riggs and Murtaugh and put them with. Tango and Cash or something like that. I don't know. Right, but let me think about it because you gave me something to think about, and I would really like to find one that would work. So I'm going to think about that and hopefully come up with one by tomorrow's podcast.
Well, speaking of tomorrow, let's wrap it up from here. Nothing worthwhile. We gave you some WrestleMania. We gave you our movie review of Godzilla vs. Kong. Tomorrow night 1 of WrestleMania will be in the books. You will hear Groo and Moody's review. How was the presentation of WrestleMania? We're going into limited capacity seating, COVID, the matches, all of it. Hulk Hogan, Titus O'Neil hosting. Mm-hmm. We'll tell you our thoughts there, and we'll give you the whole skinny. Andrew, you want to take us out?
You actually used the word skinny and me in the same sentence. I like that. That's awesome. That'll never happen. But anyway, yes, thank you all for joining us tonight. This was night 1 of 3 that we will be broadcasting from beautiful sunny Tampa, Florida. It is WrestleMania 37.
Yes.
Our 4th consecutive. We do not count last year because it didn't happen. So our 4th consecutive journey.
Do we in the record books? Do we have to put an asterisk?
No, it never happened.
Okay,
I don't even. It never happened. There were no fans there.
What about the allegation you're on steroids?
That we can talk about tomorrow.
Your power numbers have gone up consistently late in your career.
Because, as you know, WrestleMania always brings surprises, so there might be a surprise guest.
All right.
I do have some ideas for some theme music.
Okay, there you go.
So tomorrow night we'll be back at you. It'll be a late one. We'll be down in the Diet Coke with the extra caffeine to keep us awake after an incredible night of wrestling and fun and excitement, as only the WWE can bring you, followed by Moody and Groo.
It's what the world will be watching.
What the world will be watching. The revolutionary force in crappy podcasting.
Well, I got to tell you, this was great seeing you face to face. I look forward to tomorrow night.
Me too. So until tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, and we really mean it this time. 1, 2, 3.
Quack, quack.